Okay, thank you. Right, good morning. I'm Councillor Paul Heinrich and I'm chairing the meeting of the Development Committee this morning. For those who haven't attended any of these meetings before, officers who provide and present our reports and offer technical advice sit either side of me at the top table. In front of me in the central area sit the members of the committee who'll be making decisions on the items of the agenda. May I ask officers to introduce themselves, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Russell Stock. I'm a team leader in the development management team, and I'll be presenting the item before us today.
Hello, good morning. I'm Lauren Gregory, Democratic Services Officer.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the public. My name is Philip Brosen. I am the Assistant Director of Planning at North Norfolk. Good morning.
Hello, I'm Fiona Croxton, Solicitor to the Council.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome members of the public in attendance and those viewing this meeting remotely. Members of the public who have registered to speak, I will call you to the front when it's your turn. Usual notices, we're not expecting a fire alarm today or any drill. So if the alarms go off, please follow officers via the exits there and there. Not using the lift, of course, and assemble in the car park or front of the building. Could I ask, mobile phones are turned off. Already remember to turn mine off. Okay. If we are going beyond 11, we will take a break. One item I would hope we wouldn't be. And only there's any little toilets that out in the foyer. Okay. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Pauline Grove-Jones and Councillor Liz Withington.
Thank you. Do we have any substitutes?
Councillor Harry Blathwaite is present as a substitute for Councillor Grove-Jones.
Okay. I know the council Lloyd has managed to beat the traffic. Right, to the item 4, minutes of the meeting of the 24th of November, which I assume have all been read. I'll go through them very quickly for any comments on accuracy. Page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the whole meeting, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Are we content?
Yeah, just a comment really, and this is to thank Lauren for these minutes. It's seldom that we get 17 pages of minutes. Certainly. And obviously that speaks to it being quite a challenge in terms of minute taking at the last meeting. So I'd just like to put on record my thanks to Lauren for that.
Certainly concur with that.
Members will support me on it.
Are we content that these are an accurate record and I can sign them at the appropriate time? Thank you. Right, do we have any items of urgent business? Thank you. Order of business as on the agenda. Are there any declarations of interest from members?
I probably ought to remind members that I am Vice Chairman of the Area Outstanding Natural Beauty Partnership.
Thank you.
Chair, if that's a matter of interest, so am I. I have the same interest as Councillor Fitch-Tillett. Thank you.
Right, so we move straight to item 8, which is Langham PF 21/2186, change of use of land to storage of caravans and boats, siting of 39 storage containers, siting of portable building for office use, and erection of boundary fence, land on Langham Road, Langham, Norfolk. Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chairman. Well, you've outlined the description there, so I won't repeat that. But yeah, the site lies between Langham and Morstan, and the application is for that change of use. Currently or previously, the land was used by the RAF during the war, and now it's covered by trees, as you can see in that image, and is sort of overgrown. So the application is recommended for refusal for the reasons set out in the agenda. That's pretty much it. There's no updates. Thank you.
We move now to speakers. We have no town or parish speaker. We have no objecting speaker. We have, following a quick review of it, where emails have gone, realised that we have one supporting speaker who had registered, albeit by a rather circuitous way. So despite the fact we discovered this late, I'm quite happy that Mr. Cheetham may speak. If you'd like to come to the front. Yes. We'll have three minutes from the time you start speaking.
Thank you very much. Good morning. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Jonathan Cheetham, born in North Welsham, and worked and lived all my life so far in Norfolk. I've managed this land for over 40 years. I personally planted many of the trees now subject to the TPO. I believe in this proposal. Villages need businesses, employees have children, and children keep local schools open. Tourism is an essential part of our local economy. 2.5 hectares of this land will in fact employ more people than 2,500 acres of farmland, although I don't diminish any part of that. Whilst not everyone agrees, my agent and I think this application is clear and accurately reflects what I'm proposing. I submitted the application in August 2021. There's been some delay due to try and provide the LPA with clarity around the tree works. By May 2022, the TPO had been issued and confirmed, to which I did not object, and consent has been granted for the tree work that is set out in the planning application. Yet officer concerns about trees appear to remain. By June 2022, the last consultation response has been received on this planning application, and my agent has responded. It is now December 2022. There appears to be no progress since June until the committee report was published last week. Whilst I have a number of concerns about the committee report, I'm also keen that my application is not delayed any further. I hope the committee will make a decision today and would very much appreciate it if the decision notice could be issued before Christmas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Turn to your seat. Okay, before we move into debate, a couple of points I'd ask Russell to clarify. Firstly, what has the history of this land and its use since the war? And does that have any bearing on whether it is appropriate for this particular proposed use?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So yeah, as I said, it was RAF land during the war. Since then, it appears that parts have been used for sort of ad hoc agricultural storage purposes. But I don't know the full extent of that. We don't have any planning history relating to that. But that, and the applicant's form did state that its use was agricultural, but I'm not sure if that relates to the whole site or just parts of it. The application obviously requires planning permission in its own right to change the use to what's being proposed, and that's what the application has been considered on the basis of.
Thank you. And secondly, just for clarification, there's from an email that received yesterday, the application for storage, I gather, of up to 107 caravans and boats. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what was stated in the supporting information. Yeah, so it's 107 boats and caravans with the 39 shipping containers.
Would that be that there are 39 containers and up to 107 caravans and boats, or
Yes.
some of those, as I understand from the email from the agent, be stored in the containers?
It would be difficult to control or enforce that. So yes, we would be considering it on the areas as set out on the site plan for external storage of boats and caravans, in addition to the 39 shipping containers.
Thank you. Members, who wishes to start? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I've forgotten you were a local member. I've written down it.
Easily forgotten. Thank
Go
you,
ahead,
Chair.
Richard.
I'm aware of this application and have been aware of this application for a long time, and it has taken a long time to come before committee. I thank the officer for an extensive report on this. And I do note that there have been 37 letters of objection. The parish council object, and there's been no real significant change since the last application. I'm familiar with the site, and having read through the report and visited the site, I'm convinced that this is against SS1, SS2, SS5. It's in the AOMB, and it also is against EN1, EN3 and EN9. I'm concerned here that there'd be more harm than benefits if this site were to be approved. It's in a very rural site. It would result in intensification and industrialization of an area of woodland. I think there would be damage to the ecosystem, obviously, with this amount of containers and boats and caravans on the site, and there'd be a loss of biodiversity, which it isn't. I've seen from the aerial photograph, it is very rural. There's no buildings around it. It would be visible from the lane, and it's a very quiet lane connecting Morstan and Langham. There will be a lot of traffic in installing and moving containers and subsequent delivery and removal of boats and caravans, etc., throughout the tourist season. I don't see any evidence of the applicant having looked for a more suitable site closer to the coast, which would stop this need for transport. This amount of industrialization, there would obviously be value on this site, so there would have to be security measures, fencing, I would presume, a CCTV and possibly lighting, which would be, I think, detrimental in the AOMB. Paragraph 174 of the NPPF states that planning policies and decisions should contribute to and enhance the natural and local environment and enhance biodiversity value. This is not the case here. I know there's a TPO on the site, but mature trees would have to be removed from the splay at the entrance to facilitate access of the large vehicles that would need to drop off containers and boats. So having considered that, I am happy to propose a refusal of this application. Thank you.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's not often that there is such a lengthy description of the detriment to the area of outstanding natural beauty. It's usually one paragraph, and I'm seeing 2 and a bit pages. Really, I cannot possibly support this. It's quite clear from the AOMB report that it would be totally in detriment to the area of outstanding natural beauty. And Councillor Kershaw mentioned lighting. Well, we're in a dark skies area. So please, I would like to second the proposal to refuse.
Okay. Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look at it. Can we see the site context shot, please? There it is. It's there in full blown living colour. Access to that is so restricted in an area surrounded by fields for a start, which makes it AONB. Trees do need protection, but at the same time, I'm not stuck in the mud, and I do like to see commerce and local benefit to be undertaken. But I also look at the harm that's going to cause, not only with the 39 containers, but as you said, Mr. Chairman, it could be up to 107 caravans, and that's not stated on the application or the heading of it. I think this is totally against so many policies, as outlined here, that we could be seen as not being efficient and effective in the implementation of our policies. Look at it, SS1, SS2, SS5, and everything else that goes with it. Sorry, I can't support this. Thank you.
Good. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Morning, everybody. I find it difficult to support this application in truth. In the AONB policy, EN4 has, if you like, an enhanced protection attributable to it. There are so many policies which are not satisfied here. It then falls to the applicant to make a case for material considerations that outweigh the harm that the breach of those policies would result in. And I don't think the applicant has done enough, to be quite honest. There are a number of gaps in the application. We haven't got details of fencing. We haven't got details of which trees are going to be removed. We haven't got details of why an alternative site can't be met. We haven't got details of the actual demand for this facility in economic terms, although I note it is supported by the Economic Development Unit. And so for those reasons, I'm afraid it doesn't quite pass muster. And I have to say, I don't know if there is a sort of a traffic impact report on the public portal. I've not had an opportunity to look at whether there is or not, but clearly I do have doubts about the representations made by our friends at County. There is significant traffic movement here down lanes which are extremely narrow. It's not in a sustainable location, and sustainability is something which is prominent and centre in the emerging local plan as a major consideration in planning terms moving forward. And for those reasons, I'm afraid I will be supporting the office's recommendation of voting for refusal, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Hartley.
Thank you, Chair. As the representative for Morston in nearby parish, I know there's a lot of concern about this. I know the area very well, and I don't think the economic benefits outweigh the landscape and ecological harm this will cause. And this very good report, thank you, Russell, talks about long views. I think it'll be very prominent both from the coast and from looking down from Langham in terms of caravans and boats being quite white and quite plastic and quite shiny in the sunshine, which we do occasionally get. And I think it'll be very prominent and do a huge amount of damage visually, as well as ecologically and arboriculturally. So I would agree with the recommendation. Thank you.
Officer Ryerson.
Chairman, just for members' benefits as you debate this matter and move forward to a decision, it's important for officers to clarify that there is no dark sky reserve designation for this site or the surrounding area. The impact of lighting is judged under the terms of the local plan policy. That's the existing adopted local plan policies as referred to in debate by members. So it's important to be clear that reference to impacts under dark skies within our AONB in North Norfolk are covered by local plan policies. They're not subject to specific dark sky reserve or observatory standards that are otherwise considered in terms of national designations for those areas. just important to note for members when you make that decision, you're making your decision on the protection that's offered in terms of the character of the AONB, not a specific dark sky reserve designation for this site or the surrounding areas. So just an important technical point to make members before you move to a decision. I want your decision to be based on those local plan policies that relate to the AONB and its character and characteristics. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody wish to add anything further? Yeah. Councillor Toy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I know this site well. I used to, in a former life, I used to drive a crane lorry and go around this area. And one of the main routes down there is going to be past the school. You know, I hear the comments by the supporting speaker that, you know, it brings children, but actually there's a conflict there that those children are being conflicted by the traffic that's going to come down there. It is a narrow road. Many of the boats may come from below, but the caravans and the use of the storage containers is likely to come past the school. And I would have to go with the author's recommendation. It just instinctively, despite all our policies, instinctively, it doesn't feel right either. Just, you know, you when we've done this for a little while, you start to get a feel, but just the policies alone address that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be going with the officer's recommendation.
Yeah, thank you. Any further debate? Okay. The recommendation is one of refusal, and the grounds are set out in your papers in quite some detail. So, without further ado, Lauren, roll call.
Councillor Brown,
For.
Councillor Blathwaite,
For.
Councillor Fisher,
4.
Councillor Fitch-Tillett, for Councillor Heinrich,
4.
Councillor Holiday, Councillor Kershaw, Councillor Lloyd, Councillor Mancini Boyle, Councillor Pearce,
4.
Councillor Toy,
4.
Councillor Taylor, and Councillor Varley. That is unanimous for refusal.
Thank you. The application is refused. Right, moving on to item 9. You going development management? Are you going to cover that, Philip?
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just wait for the chamber to clear. Chairman, the performance remains solid. We are seeing a sustained improvement. Looking at the major decisions, 2 decisions were issued within the last month, and that leaves us with a 2-year batting average standing at 86.49%. Both of those major decisions were issued in time, and I thank officers and obviously our legal services, principally Fiona, who's helped enormously in terms of progressing Section 106 agreements for majors and enabling us to move those forward in a timely manner. In terms of non-majors, you'll see 72 decisions issued in the month. We are moving forward at 80.66% in terms of the 2-year average, and covered about 97.2% to be precise in terms of decisions in time within the month. So the picture, members, is that in terms of speed of performance, the improvements are sustained. I think, Chairman, I've mentioned on a number of occasions to members that the speed of performance is a matter of significant concern around the time that we had our new software system introduced, which was December 2020, when the system was effectively turned off for 6 weeks and we couldn't move any applications forward. And obviously, as that system was embedded going forward into the early spring of 2022, I say it quietly but confidently, I expect that that 2-year figure will improve significantly as we move through the first quarter of 2023 and the last quarter of 2022. I'm very hopeful, Chairman, that you will see a significant rise in that 2-year figure as those poor quarters for the software introduction begin to fall away. Chairman, the validation of applications continues to move forward in a timely manner. We are receiving applications and validating them in accord with our standards, and we're seeing low rates of non-validation of applications, and even with those cases, very few stragglers that are not then made valid after contact from the support team. So from that point of view, Chairman, I can say that validation and speed are strong. We have a separate report on appeals, which I'll talk about as we move to that item on the agenda. In terms of section 106, Chairman, there is a separate report which I believe that Fiona normally will speak to you on. Can I ask, Chairman, that members note the content of the report, and I'll be pleased to answer any questions in terms of development management performance.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just before we move to Fiona's report, I'd just like to thank the Assistant Director for Planning for his comments this morning, and to thank the staff in the planning department, in our planning department, for their work over the last 12 months to improve the performance and service for our residents. It's pleasing to see that the investment in the new software, which we made some time ago, is now beginning to bear fruit as the department get used to the way it works and the benefits that it brings to their working programme. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge as well, I'm not sure people always grasp that we've got here 476 applications, you know, and the number of planning officers we have and the workload that creates, and the current, you know, national, you know, shortage of planning officers. So I'd like to congratulate officers again on achieving these performance levels, given the numbers of applications and the number of officers that are dealing with it. So I just like to make that point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and dealing with a local plan and all the aspects of nutrient neutrality at the same time. So very commendable performance. Yeah, giggle a little bit there.
There's as you can see, two main Section 106 agreements to be completed. On the Scotto Enterprise Park, Norfolk County Council have explained that the delay is due to the fact that on the property side, they're having to negotiate some overage provisions. And due to that, it's not necessarily that they are not able to sign the Section 106 agreement, but could they please have some more time to deal with the overage? So they are asking now, can the Section 106 completion be delayed until the end of February 2023, if the committee if that's acceptable to the committee?
Thank you, Fiona. I'm very familiar with this particular application, and I had a meeting with Standard Gas and Hethel last week, and I have another meeting in 25 minutes with them this morning. It seems that the applicant understands the situation with the overage as relating to the runway, and I don't think it's going to impede the planning of this particular, what we're talking about today, which was the worry from Swiftair. So I think that Hethel are on board. I know NCC are on board. It's just this overage with the Ministry of Defence. So I think, thanks for your work and the clarity you brought to it, but I think that this will be acceptable. So many thanks.
If we can tell them then 28th of February, setting it back to that.
I will, yes, thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to thank Fiona for her work on the Section 106 programme. I think we're in danger with the RAG rating of traffic light failure, I'm pleased to say. Everything might turn to green eventually. But no, seriously, thank you very much for all the work that you've been doing. And I'm quite happy to support the extension to February if it assists Fiona in getting this completed.
Councillor Mancini-Gore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rowson, I note that you're looking to employ a 106 officer. With that in mind, would that make it easier for me to put an application in for 106 monies that's in my area, because we have had a few conversations about this, which has been helpful. And maybe Fiona can help us out as well. But I struggle to. I've got things ready to go, schemes, even consider a steering group. I'm just want to know if I put an application in for it, how successful it would be, and why is it so hard to get hold of 106 money?
Chairman, I'll be very pleased to discuss section 106 provisions with any of our members across this district. The position in terms of section 106 funding is, as we've suggested previously, Chairman, you have to have a qualifying development within your ward, and that terms of the agreement needs to include the opportunities for your parish, your community, to develop their infrastructure appropriately. So the key stages in drawing this forward really need to be that engagement through the planning application process. Now, we have got a software system which was launched at the start of this month. If you wish to enter your parish into that software system, you will see whether or not there are monies from section 106 available in your parish. And you can then drill down to the particular planning section 106 agreements under that software that may be able to deliver funding for your parish area. Now, we're happy to do that, but there is an element of self-service as well, Chairman. Now, we can't expect self-service to be effective unless we give you some training. So we're going to do some training with Emma Doney's support in terms of arranging that member training session on the 19th of January. Please come along to that. If you've got specific questions before that time and you can't find your way through the software system and it's not speaking to you as you would like, come and talk with me. I'll be happy to help you, and I can point you in the direction of the other officers who'll be pleased to accept any invitation from you to advise on the availability of funds within your district. We held a section 106 monitoring officer interview at the end of last week. I can tell you, Chairman, that there is an offer on the table for that officer, a very good candidate who we hope will come and join us. We sorely need that candidate, I think, as I described to overview and scrutiny, because we actually need somebody who is tasked with dealing with the delivery and communication with our parishes, our members, the public and our developers on a consistent and clear basis, a single point of contact. So that officer will be able to deliver the support for section 106s for our parishes and our members, and will be actively looking to engage with parishes and members in terms of schemes to spend the section 106 monies. We don't want to have the Cinderella pumpkin issue where you've got a section 106 with a clause which is expiring and we have no scheme or investment available to the local community. I should say, Chairman, that's not happening at the moment, but there's a lot of different officers pursuing the support of section 106 across the planning team. So that's the reason why sometimes when you make those queries or questions to the Development Management Service, it takes a while for us to get back because we're not able to dedicate the time simply to section 106. Those officers have other tasks that they're involved in. But in the short time, before we get that officer, come to me, I'll help you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure town and parish council appreciate a single point of contact and a more streamlined system. It's been difficult in the past. Councillor Brown.
Chair, would it be possible for members to receive a link which takes us into the website? I'm just looking at our website as the officer's been speaking, and it's not that obvious how you access it. So if it's now live and interactive, if all members could have a link.
So, Chairman, just for clarification, that's all elected members of the District Council.
Yeah.
Lauren, could we send out a Christmas email on that basis? I'll wait for the rush.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, before we move on, we need to formally agree that the extension on the and sort of enterprise part 106, we content with that as extent, thank you. And are we content to note the development management performance report? Thank you. Item 10, update on appeals.
Chairman, I understand members have other appointments to get to, and I very much appreciate you coming over today on the 22nd of December to the meeting. So I'm going to keep this briefing on appeals relatively short. Importantly, we've got the significant hearing at Arcady, Cly next to the sea, due to be heard on the 24th to the 26th of January. That will be heard at North Norfolk District Council offices. So members, you will be welcome to attend that event. If you wish to see any briefing or discussion beforehand, I'll be pleased to assist with that. We've also got the enforcement appeals coming forward at Roundabout Farm at Thurning, and those are due to be heard. Sorry, I don't have a date for those. I do apologise. We will keep that appeals report updated so you know exactly when that will be heard. We have council acting on behalf of the council in that matter. We've got a number of written representations in hand, and I can tell you, Chairman, I'm delighted to update that we have three appeals on this list that have been determined since the list was circulated to you members. So on what is effectively page 3 of the appeals report, you'll see there are 2 appeals for Haysborough, and they relate to an annex at the Wishing Well, the street Haysborough, and the Wishing Well, the street Haysborough. I can tell you, Chairman, that those appeals have been now determined and that the appeals have been dismissed. I can also tell you, Chairman, that on page 4 of the appeals report, under the written representations appeals, we have a further decision at Trunch for Fairview Barn, and that's at the bottom of page 4, application 21/1561, and I can confirm for you, Chairman, that that case was also dismissed. As well, member, in a bumper bunch of decisions for this month from the Planning Inspectorate, we have a note at the end of the report for the Tunstead appeal decision at Copperfield, Waterpit Lane, Tunstead, and again, Chairman, that was a written representations appeal and the appeal was dismissed. However, Chairman, we still have a significant number of written representation appeals that are outstanding, and we have obviously those 2 enforcement appeals at Roundabout Farm, for which we await a date from the Planning Inspectorate. We will keep you updated, Chairman, as we move forward, and if there are any queries or questions on appeals, I'll be very pleased to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Members have any questions?
Just to comment, Mr. Chairman, to say that it's pleasing to see decisions made by our planning authority and by this committee being supported by the Planning Inspectorate in these appeals being dismissed. I think I might have this figure right, but I'm sure Mr. Russell will correct me if I haven't. We generally win 98% of our appeals. So in matters like the application that we dealt with earlier today, an applicant who is refused permission needs to think very carefully where before exercising their right to appeal. They might be better spending their time liaising with the planning department and looking for an alternative site for their for their intended development rather than appealing the decision this morning. Thank you.
Do you agree? Any further comments on appeals? In which case we move to item 11. We don't need to exclude the press and public as we have no private exempt business. Just about to come to that. I'll close the meeting at this point and ask members if they can remain for a short briefing on protocols following the incident in the previous meeting. Could I ask any members of the public to leave, please?